Hi and welcome to our tutorial on how to teach your dog tricks. Tricks are a great way to bond with your furry friend and keep their mind active and engaged. Not only that, but teaching your dog tricks can also be a lot of fun for both you and your dog. In this tutorial, we will go over some tips and techniques for teaching your dog tricks, as well as some specific tricks that you can work on with your dog. So let's get started. Step 1. Choose a trick to teach. The first step in teaching your dog a trick is to choose a trick that you want to teach. Some popular tricks that you can teach your dog include sit, stay, down, come, shake, roll over. There are many other tricks that you can teach your dog as well, so choose one that you think will be fun and achievable for both you and your dog. It's important to choose a trick that is appropriate for your dog's age, size, and ability. For example, if you have a small toy breed, it may not be realistic to expect them to perform tricks that require a lot of physical effort or strength, such as jumping through a hoop or carrying a heavy object. Additionally, consider your dog's personality and interests. Does your dog have a particular affinity for chasing toys? Then a trick like fetch might be a good choice. Is your dog a food-motivated individual? Then a trick like beg or spin might be more up their alley. Finally, make sure to choose a trick that you will both enjoy. If you're not having fun, it's likely that your dog won't be either. So choose a trick that you'll both look forward to practicing together. Step 2. Start with basic obedience training. Before you can start teaching your dog tricks, it's important to make sure that they have a solid foundation in basic obedience training. This means that your dog should be able to follow commands like sit, stay, and come consistently. If your dog is not yet proficient in basic obedience training, it's a good idea to work on that first before attempting to teach them tricks. Basic obedience training is the foundation upon which you can build more advanced tricks and behaviors. It's important for your dog to have a good understanding of these basic commands because they will be the building blocks for more complex tricks. For example, if you want to teach your dog to roll over, they will need to have a solid down command first. If your dog struggles with staying in a sit position, then it will be difficult for them to learn a trick like shake. Basic obedience training is also important for the overall well-being and safety of your dog. A dog that is well trained and understands basic obedience commands is more likely to be well behaved and safe in a variety of situations. So if your dog is not yet proficient in basic obedience training, it's a good idea to work on that first before attempting to teach them tricks. Step 3. Choose a reward for your dog. One of the most effective ways to teach your dog tricks is through positive reinforcement. This means that you will reward your dog with something they find reinforcing, such as a treat or praise, every time they perform the trick correctly. Before you start teaching your dog a trick, make sure to have a reward ready that your dog finds motivating. This could be a treat, a toy, or even just some verbal praise. It's important to choose a reward that your dog finds highly motivating, as this will help to keep their attention and focus on the task at hand. Some dogs may be motivated by treats, while others may prefer toys or verbal praise. Experiment with different rewards to find out what your dog responds to best. It's also a good idea to have a variety of rewards on hand so that you can mix things up and keep your dog interested. For example, you might use treats for some training sessions and toys for others. This will help to prevent boredom and keep your dog engaged. Remember to always reward your dog immediately after they perform the trick correctly. This will help to reinforce the behavior and increase the chances that they will perform the trick again in the future. Step 4. Use a command word. When teaching your dog a trick, it's important to use a consistent command word. This will help your dog understand what you want them to do. For example, if you want to teach your dog to sit, you might use the command word sit. When your dog sits, be sure to reward them with their chosen reward. It's important to be consistent with the command word that you use for each trick. This means using the same word every time you ask your dog to perform the trick. For example, if you want your dog to sit, always say sit and not sit down or sit up. Using a consistent command word will help your dog to understand what you want them to do more quickly. It's also a good idea to use the same tone and inflection when saying the command word each time. In addition to using a consistent command word, it's also important to use hand signals or gestures to help your dog understand what you want them to do. For example, you might use a hand gesture to signal sit or down. These visual cues can be especially helpful for dogs that are hard of hearing or have difficulty with verbal commands. Step 5. Practice, practice, practice. The key to teaching your dog any trick is to practice consistently. Set aside a few minutes each day to work on the trick with your dog. As your dog becomes more proficient at the trick, You can gradually reduce the frequency of the reward, eventually phasing it out completely. Remember to be patient and positive with your dog as they learn the trick. It may take some time for them to get it, but with consistent practice and positive reinforcement, they will get there. And there you have it, a simple guide on how to teach your dog tricks. With a little bit of patience and positive reinforcement, you can have your dog performing all sorts of fun tricks in no time. Happy training!